Okay, welcome to the Google Sites basic tutorial module number 7, where we'll look at the things that you can do with tables in Google Sites. Now, tables have a lot of challenges with Google Sites, so we'll talk a little bit about that. And then we'll look at, well, in which cases you really do need to use tables, and in which cases you might want to choose other options that are available to you. Then we'll look at how you do make a table if you decide you're going to use one. How you insert the contents into the table once you've made them, how to make adjustments to the table, and how to make a table border transparent. Okay, so tables in Google Sites can create all sorts of challenges. They're not that easy to work with, but sometimes you really need them so you can do certain things in terms of layout, but you really want to avoid using them as much as possible. You do have other options instead of working with tables. I'll show you some of the problems that might arise. So if you want to make a table, what you do is you go to the menu that says Table, Insert Table, and you just select however many cells it is that you need in your table. So in these cells you can then put in text, and images and all sorts of things. We'll get into that in more detail in a little while, but really honestly working with tables is quite challenging in Google Sites. So what are your other options? So say instead of using a table, we're just going to delete that table for now. We'll come back to more about tables soon. You have some other options which are actually more user-friendly, and those are your layout options. So if you go up here to layout, you can see you've got the format we've got now is 1 column simple, and then 2 column simple basically splits your space into 2 separate columns. 3 column simple, same thing, but 3 columns. And then these other ones, like 3 column, then gives you the 3 columns of space that you can work within. So if you were to, type into that space, it would just stay within that space, and you can also have text and photos in these other spaces as well. And you can also have some additional headings on top and below that 3 column space. So whenever possible, you're going to want to stick to using the layout function instead of working with tables. But let's say you do want to have a table. How do you do that? So we're going to switch our mode back to a single column to do the work with the tables. So I'm going to make a table that looks like that, and I'm going to start by inserting some text. So this is a caption for a photo, so you can put your photo caption under the photo. And I want to say the same thing on other parts of the table. So you can see already this is getting quite tricky, like the text jumps around into different parts of the table, and so on and so forth. It's really quite challenging working with tables. All sorts of things happen that you don't expect, and then when you save it, it looks different again. So let's grab a photo to put in here. We're going to insert image, web address, and paste the address of that photo that we just selected, and then click OK. So you can see that photo sits nicely within that table, and we might want to use another photo again. And again, OK, and click Save. So as you can see, my table's pretty messy, and it's quite a lot of fiddling around to get it to fit exactly the way I want, but it certainly can be done. You just need to be really patient and practice and learn how to work with it. So let's fix this one up just a little bit so it's a bit tidier. So that would go like that, and you might want to expand the width of this table. You might want to center the image within the cell of the table. You can also center the text within the cell of the table. And yeah, it's starting to look a little bit better. You can also, once you've made your table, if you change your mind and you want to add some more columns or rows, you can also do that. So you just click on one of the cells and then go back to the table menu and insert column on the right or left. And you can do the same thing with rows. So click on there and table, insert row below or above. Yeah. So once your table's there, you can still add to it. I mean, you can outright delete your table, and you can delete rows or delete columns, the same as you would. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. One of the problems with tables, if you look at it, is it's got the grid of the borders of the table automatically, and it's not easy to get rid of that. So I'll show you how to do that, but you have to be quite careful because now you're going to be working in the kind of sophisticated part of Google Sites. So to be able to adjust the borders so that you don't see them, you have to go into the HTML, which is up here. Oh, sorry. Okay, so if that happens, what that means is that you're not in the right part of the table. So if you click on the table, you'll see the difference. Now click on HTML, and here you see there's lots of HTML here, which is all of the data that that part of the page is related to. So what you want to be looking for is the text that says table border, so that if your table is right at the top of that section of the page, then table border will be right at the top. If it's deeper, so I'll show you what I mean. So say before that table you had some text and other things. Then if we go back to the HTML, it's going to look different. So we go back to the HTML, and you can see I've got my text here, and then I've got my table border down here. So my table border has been moved down. So when you find your table border, what you need to do is you need to adjust a lot of the code here. So where the 1 is 0, the 888 is 0, the RGB color here is 0, again RGB color 0, again RGB color 0, RGB color 0, and the border top is 0, width is 0, 0, 0. Okay, so once you've changed pretty much every measurement in the table border sentence to 0 and you update it, then the table border is still there, but it's transparent. You don't really see it anymore. So that's the basic function of working with tables, but yet again, really recommend whenever possible work with the layout function as much as possible, as opposed to using tables whenever you can.